Hello everyone, I'm Jason. Rivian just dropped a bombshell. It is teaming up with Uber with up to $1.25 billion on the table, and the goal is huge, as many as 50,000 fully autonomous R2 robotaxis. At the same time, Rivian is effectively giving up on its 2027 profitability target to go all in on autonomy. Meanwhile, Waymo has already logged 170 million miles of rider-only driving, with safety data now beating human drivers. The robotaxi race is getting serious, and Tesla is no longer the only name dominating the conversation. This war is just getting started. Let's break it down. Tesla stock closed Thursday at $380.30, down $12.48, or 3.18%, with trading volume at 66.54 million shares. First up, the biggest threat to Tesla Robotaxi may have just arrived. Rivian launched the R2, and while people were still debating how it would compete with the Model Y, the company suddenly announced a partnership with Uber. That partnership aims to deploy up to 50,000 autonomous robotaxis. Even more striking, Rivian also said it no longer expects adjusted core profitability by 2027. Everything is now being pushed into research and development to accelerate autonomy. Let me be blunt. Rivian is betting its future on this. Uber and Rivian officially announced the plan to deploy up to 50,000 autonomous R2 robotaxis. In the first phase, Uber or its fleet partners are expected to buy 10,000 vehicles. By 2028, they plan to launch in San Francisco and Miami, then expand across the United States, Canada, and Europe, reaching 25 cities in total. Full deployment is targeted for 2031. On top of that, Uber has the option to buy another 40,000 vehicles by 2030. That makes this one of the boldest robotaxi commitments we have seen outside Tesla and Waymo. The fleet will operate exclusively on Uber's platform, and Uber may invest up to $1.25 billion into Rivian. But there is a catch. The funding depends on Rivian hitting specific autonomy milestones by 2031. After the agreement, Uber will first invest $300 million. Rivian's chief executive says he is beyond excited and believes this can speed up the path to level 4 autonomy. He points to Rivian's growing data flywheel, the RAP1 in-house compute platform, and a multimodal perception system as reasons to be confident. Uber chief executive Dara Khosrowshahi also backed Rivian's approach. He praised Rivian's integrated design of vehicles, compute, and software, plus its United States-based manufacturing and supply chain. That combination, together with Uber's fleet and operating experience, gives them confidence in these ambitious targets. I used to think Rivian was mainly focused on human-driven electric vehicles, but this move is a hard pivot. Whether it can truly threaten Tesla's robotaxi dominance is still unclear, but it absolutely pulls attention away from other electric vehicle players like Lucid. Technically, Rivian is not weak. The company has been developing its Generation 2 system since 2022. Its RAP1 platform runs dual chips at 800 TOPS each for a total of 1,600 TOPS. It combines that with LiDAR and a full multimodal sensor stack inside its Generation 3 autonomy computer. By late 2026, the first R2 batch may begin with point-to-point autonomy. That would be similar to Tesla's supervised full self-driving system, before eventually moving toward fully unsupervised level 4. For many supporters of LiDAR, that redundancy remains a major advantage. But Rivian also admitted the cost of this push. To accelerate autonomy, research and development spending will rise sharply, and it no longer expects adjusted core profitability by 2027. BNP Paribas analyst James Picariello said this was expected. He believes Rivian's cash flow plus Uber's initial investment should support the added research and development. Still, in today's macro environment, going all in on autonomy is a huge gamble. Rivian is using Uber's money and order volume to speed up its data flywheel, and in exchange, it hopes to move faster toward level 4. Bold, risky, and honestly, a little admirable. This also sends a message to the industry. Robotaxi is no longer just Tesla's game. LiDAR and multi-sensor approaches still have serious contenders. Of course, Tesla still has the largest data scale and one of the most aggressive vertically integrated strategies in the industry. But more competition is good news for investors. And speaking of competition, Waymo delivered a major update of its own. By the end of December 2025, Waymo had accumulated 170 million miles of rider-only autonomous driving. That means no human driver on board. It is a massive number, and it puts pressure on everyone else in the sector. That is up from 127 million miles in September, meaning Waymo added over 40 million miles in just 3 months. That works out to roughly 467,000 miles per day. At that pace, Waymo is clearly reminding the market that someone in this race is already far ahead in real-world deployment. But it is not just the mileage that matters. Waymo also released updated safety data. And that is where things really get serious. According to its official safety impact page, the results are significantly better than those of human drivers. Across those 170 million miles, Waymo says serious injury crashes dropped by 92%. Airbag deployment crashes fell by 83%, and injury-causing crashes declined by 82%. For pedestrians, cyclists, and motorcyclists, incidents were down between 81% and 92%. Those are strong numbers. But while Waymo is ahead right now, Tesla supporters would argue the real battle is not who dominates a few cities first. It is about who can drive costs down and scale the fastest across the world. That is where the Tesla thesis comes in. Waymo is expensive and expands slowly. Tesla, in theory, can convert its existing fleet and leverage a much larger installed base. That is the battlefield Elon Musk keeps talking about. So who are you betting on? Let me know in the comments. And now let's move to part 2. A recent Carwow video claimed that Tesla full self-driving is pointless. The title was catchy, but the actual comparison was questionable. The video compared a sub 1,000-pound Comma 4 box on a used Skoda with Tesla's system, then suggested Tesla full self-driving was meaningless. But here is the key issue. Full self-driving still is not approved in the United Kingdom. So what they were really testing was basic autopilot, not full self-driving. An autopilot is designed mainly for highways, not for complicated city streets, roundabouts, and poorly marked intersections. If you force it into those scenarios, of course it will struggle. That makes the headline far more dramatic than the actual test result. In other words, the title grabs attention, but the setup does not fairly represent full self-driving. Even so, the Tesla Model 3 in the video still performed well on highways. In poorly marked city intersections, it sometimes chose to stop rather than force its way through. That may be conservative, but it is also safer. Even Matt admitted Tesla's approach was more cautious, while Comma felt more willing to push ahead with limited confidence. In the end, the video concluded that both systems can be tiring in the city and do not yet deliver a truly relaxing experience. That part, to be fair, is not completely wrong. Both are still level 2 supervised systems, and you have to stay alert at all times. In the United Kingdom, with roundabouts, messy markings, and inconsistent road signs, no advanced driver assistance system is really set and forget. Comma is interesting because it extends factory highway systems at a low cost, but it is still a much simpler setup than Tesla's long-term vision. Tesla full self-driving is actually approved in the United Kingdom. That will be the more meaningful test. Until then, comparing basic autopilot in one market to the broader full self-driving vision is misleading. The current comparison is entertaining, but not very balanced. Think of it this way. Comma is like spending 1,000 pounds to modify a toy car for fun, while Tesla is charging around 6,800 pounds for an integrated ecosystem. And that ecosystem could one day become part of a robotaxi network. These products are not really in the same category, so yes, the Carwow video is entertaining, but its title and method make the conclusion feel more dramatic than accurate. Tesla full self-driving is not pointless. It is simply still in the late difficult stage of a very long race. That brings us to XPeng. A recent XPeng video showed its VLA 2.0 handling a narrow alley at night, with traffic cones suddenly appearing in the path. Instead of freezing or giving up, the system smoothly navigated around them with surprising confidence. Naturally, some viewers started joking. Were we not told everyone else was 5 years behind Tesla? Because based on that clip alone, XPeng certainly did not look 5 years behind. Now, we should be careful. Data and technical advantages are real, but they are not so overwhelming that competitors can simply be ignored. Tesla has become the benchmark, especially in Silicon Valley, and everyone is studying it, hiring teams, and trying to catch up. The era when Tesla had years of clear runway may be over. Competition is now much more serious, much more organized, and moving much faster. At the same time, edited promotional clips are not proof of full capability. Real autonomy is decided by long-tail edge cases, consistency, and scaling. It is not decided by a few clean examples on social media. That is why it is dangerous to jump to simple conclusions too quickly. Even so, the XPeng video does show how quickly Chinese automakers are improving. In some situations, the smoothness looked competitive with Tesla's 2023 full self-driving performance. That does not prove parity, but it does suggest the gap may be shrinking faster than many people expected. Competitors may catch up quickly to earlier full self-driving generations, but every step beyond that can become much harder and slower, unless others can build Tesla-scale shadow mode systems and data flywheels. Drawing simple conclusions from a few clips is still risky. So here is the bottom line. Tesla still has a real-world data advantage, but its moat may not be as untouchable as many once believed. Rivian is making a massive autonomy bet with Uber. Waymo is far ahead in deployed autonomous miles and published safety data. XPeng is showing that Chinese competitors are improving quickly. The smart approach is not to blindly overhype full self-driving or dismiss the competition. Look at the field rationally. That is better for both technology analysis and investment decisions. And finally, I will leave you with a quote from Elon Musk. The overarching goal of all my companies is to maximize the probability of a good future for civilization. That is the principle he says connects everything he does. Not money, not fame, but reducing the chances of human extinction and increasing the odds of long-term prosperity. Thanks for spending your valuable time with me. Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you want more timely and accurate insights, do not forget to like and subscribe. I am Jason, and I will see you in the next one.